Well, shalom, family. Hope that we get the rest of the family here today. If you just joined us, make sure and hit the thumbs up button because that will benefit a lot of people and reach more community and more people. Every time you guys hit the thumbs up button, you guys make the difference. So please make sure and hit the thumbs up button. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. Subscribe and hit the notification button, the bell button. That way you can be notified when I go live and also when I post a new video. Welcome, Shalom Ziyang Lu. So happy you're here. Very happy that you all are here. Make sure and hit the thumbs up button. That way the rest of the family will join us as well. Salam, welcome. Nice to, oh man, we got so many winners here. Let me give an applause for everybody here. We got Shalom and welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. Really appreciate you guys joining me. So, let's see here. We got so many winners already. Can you guys please hit the thumbs up button? That way, we'll have more of the family join us quicker. The more thumbs up we get, the more this will get out and let people know that we're going live. So, let me begin. I want to begin with this because this is very important. This gets thrown around so much, and I hope it's okay that you guys. David Hardy, shalom and welcome. We got winners here. Nothing but winners here today. Shalom, family. I want to begin, and please bear with me. A lot of you are probably going to roll your eyes at this, but this is coming up so much, and a lot of people ask me to address this, so bear with me. I'll make this as brief as I can about the Septuagint, because this gets thrown around so much, and a lot of you are probably going to roll your eyes and say, we've been through this so many times, but there's so many people that are still joining the channel. Oh, Gerson, we got more winners here. Shalom and welcome, brother. So good to have you with us. So we're going to talk about first the Septuagint, the problem with the claims that are made for the Septuagint. If you're just joining us, make sure and hit the thumbs up button. So I just want to clarify what exactly, sorry, we got reconnected here. The Septuagint error, the claims and the error made. The original Septuagint, let me make this very clear. The original Septuagint, translated some 2,200 years ago by 72 Jewish rabbis, scholars, was a Greek translation of the 5 books of Moses alone. Alone. It was not the entire Hebrew Bible. Let's make that very, very clear right from the gate. It's not the entire Tanakh. It was only the 5 books of Moses. And it is no longer in our hands, meaning the originals. It therefore did not contain the books of the prophets or the writings, hence the Hebrew Bible as a whole, period. The Septuagint remains the official Old Testament of, guess who? The Greek Orthodox Church. And the manuscripts that consist of our Septuagint today date to the 3rd century CE. The fact that additional books known as the Apocrypha, which are uniquely sacred to the Roman Catholics and Orthodox Church, are found in the Septuagint. This should raise red flags right away to those inquiring into the Jewishness of the Septuagint. Christians such as Origen and Lucian, 3rd and 4th century CE, edited and shaped the Septuagint that missionaries, Christians, and a lot of Messianics used to advance their erroneous arguments against Judaism. In essence, the present Septuagint is largely a post-2nd century Christian translation of the Bible, used zealously by the church throughout its history as an indispensable apologetic instrument to defend and sustain Christological alterations of our Jewish scriptures. For example, in his preface to the book of Chronicles, the church father Jerome, who was the primary translator of the Vulgate, concedes that in his day there were at least 3 variants, listen carefully, 3 variants of the Greek translations of what they call the Bible. 3 variations. Accordingly, the Jewish people never, ever use or have used the Septuagint in their worship or religious studies, etc., because it is and always has been recognized as a corrupted text, period. This is a fact. The ancient letter of Aristeas which is the earliest attestation to the existence of the Septuagint, listen carefully, confirms that the original Septuagint translated by rabbis more than 22 centuries ago was of the Pentateuch alone, meaning the Torah alone, and not the books of the prophets such as Isaiah, Jeremiah, and so forth. The Talmud as well also states this explicitly in Tractate Megillah 9a, and Josephus as well as others in the ancient historical record, affirming that the Septuagint was a translation only of the law of Moses. In his preface to Antiquities of the Jews, Josephus mentions this as well. Therefore, St. Jerome, a church father and Bible translator who could hardly be construed as friendly to Judaism, affirms Josephus' statement regarding the authorship of the Septuagint in his preface to the book of Hebrews Questions. Likewise, the Anchor Bible Dictionary reports precisely this point in the opening sentence of its article on the Septuagint, which states, the word Septuagint, from the Latin Septuaginta, equals hence 70, the abbreviation LXX, derives from the story of the 72 rabbis or translators of the Pentateuch into Greek. And to this day, the day that was done, the translation from Hebrew to Greek, this was considered back then a cursed day, and even today is considered a cursed day and still commemorated with a fasting. We, the Jews, actually fast on the day this was done because this was a horrible point in history where we had to translate by force of the sword, by force of the church, to translate the Hebrew into the pagan Greek language. The term, therefore, applied originally only to the 5 books of Moses. And lastly, last point, Dr. F.F. Bruce, a prominent Christian biblical scholar, keenly points out that, strictly speaking, the Septuagint deals only with the Pentateuch, the 5 books of Moses, and not the whole Hebrew Bible. So the whole point of this is that a lot of Christians and Messianics like to point to the problems in Isaiah and Jeremiah as pointing to, well, they were quoting from the Septuagint. Again, the Septuagint was only of the 5 books of Moses. That's it. So there you go. So let's see who we got here today. Ziang Lu, we got Bluesman. Shalom and welcome, Bluesman. Thank you for joining us. We got so many here. Messianic Truth, a lot of people. Everybody, guys, thank you so much. So many of you guys, thank you so much. Exactly. All right. So anyways, let's see where we are here. Hope everybody's doing well. I hope you rested well, everyone. Yes, he sure was, Ziang Lu. He sure was. He was something else, that's for sure. Absolutely. Hope you're doing well. Let's see here. Let's see what we got here. I'm going to talk about something that I didn't get a chance to post last time, but hopefully we'll get into today, and I hope this will be beneficial. And unfortunately, the post didn't go live. I got everything fixed on YouTube, so hopefully this will be the last time. We're going to talk about where giants came from in the Hebrew Scriptures. So we're going to find out exactly where they came from, biblically speaking, and I hope that this will be beneficial. So, let us begin. And again, if you just joined us, make sure and hit the thumbs up button. That way the rest of the family will join us. And we're going to talk about, we just talked about the Septuagint. We're also going to talk right now about the giants. Where do they come from? Blues man, crack me up. All right, where do giants come from? Let's start our detective, quote unquote, detective investigation into the text of the Hebrew Scriptures to find out. There are 3 Hebrew words which, according to the description given in the Torah, symbolize what we can call giants. The first one is Anakim, the next one is Rephaim, and lastly, Nephilim. I know that term comes up a lot and very familiar with many, the Nephilim. Sometimes a simple descriptive word in Hebrew is used, which is literally the meaning of mighty when it comes to giants. In the book of Yehoshua and Joshua, we read, this is Joshua chapter 15, verse 14, about giants. Listen to this. And Caleb drove out there the 3 sons of Anak. Remember that name, Anak. Shishai and Ahiman and Talmai, the children of Anak. Who are the children of Anak? Read the description from the words of the Israeli spies. You can find this in Numbers chapter 13, verse 33. And there we saw the Nephilim, the sons of Anak. See? Who are the descendants of the Nephilim. And we were, listen to this, in our own sight as grasshoppers, and so were we in their sight. This is how they showed and described the difference in size measurements, that they appeared as grasshoppers. Now we know how small grasshoppers are on the grass itself. Can you imagine seeing individuals so huge that they felt like grasshoppers in comparison to these gigantic individuals? Unbelievable. And so were we to them. That's what they're saying here. On the word Rephaim, describing the giants, we read in Deuteronomy chapter 3, verse 11, for only Og, king of Bashan, remained of the remnants of Rephaim. Remember that name? Rephaim. Behold, his bed was made of iron. Is it not in the city of Rabbah of the children of Ammon? 9 cubits was the length thereof, and 4 cubits the breadth of it, according to the cubit of a man. The size mentioned there translates to 13.5 by 6, which accordingly to Rambam, Moreh Nevuhim, chapter 2, verse 47, means that King Og was about 9 feet tall. No wonder the spies talked about viewing themselves as grasshoppers compared to the giants they saw. Now, these giants could have been even bigger, because look what we see here. Another more famous example of a giant is given in 1 Samuel, which spells out the exact height of this giant. Here we go. 1 Samuel chapter 17, verse 4. And a fighter came out from the tents of the Philistines, named Goliath of Gath. He was more than 6 cubits tall. And what is 6 cubits tall? It is 9 feet tall. Now this says he was more than 9 cubits. We don't know how big he was exactly. He was more than 9 feet tall. He was ginormous. And he frightened all the Israelites. Nobody wanted to face him. Because let's not forget, back at that time, it's not like today where you could just get a machine gun or a gun and just start fighting. This was hand-to-hand combat. Think about that. Now, I'm 5'5". I'm a small Jew, okay? Very small, 5'5", okay? I'm a small guy. If I see someone who's 9, 10, 11 feet tall, do you think I'm going to walk up to this person and think I'm going to have a chance to fight with this person? I'd be like, no, thank you. See you later. I'm out of here. I mean, this is ginormous. We know that archaeologists, a lot of them were fired. A lot of them are being silenced for finding gigantic, ginormous skeletons of human beings or beings who were ginormous, who were huge. And it's being tucked under because it doesn't look like evolution. They want to do everything to cover up the Bible, period. And that's just what happens. It's unbelievable. So look at this. 1 Samuel, like I mentioned, the fear, chapter 17, verse 24. Check this out. And all the men of Israel, when they saw him, Goliath, went in flight. Pew! I mean, like they literally just ran for the hills. They ran for the hills. Okay? Overcome with fear, it says. Overcome with fear. I mean, I would be afraid if I saw someone 9, 10, 11 feet tall. Now we are ready to continue, okay? Before we continue into the book of Genesis, let's clarify the territory where the Torah story encounters giants so far, okay? So far. Hebron and Philistine are in the land of Canaan, and kingdom of the king Og is in Amorite territory, which is Cush. Now we are ready to continue our detective investigation into the book of Genesis to find out where have these Nephilim and Anakim, where did they come from? Genesis chapter 10, verses 8 through 9. And Cush was the father of Nimrod, who was the first mighty men on earth. He was a mighty hunter before, blessed be his name, Yehovah. So that there is a saying, like Nimrod, a mighty hunter before Yehovah. Well, now we know that the giants are descendants of Nimrod, and we know that he is son of Cush. Okay? And who is Cush? And the sons of Ham, Cush and Mitzrayim, Put and Canaan. This is in Genesis chapter 10, verse 6. Now we know that Nimrod and giants after him came from Ham. But there is more. Remember, we found earlier the locations where giants lived, Canaan and Cush. Well, we just learned that both Cush and Canaan are sons of Ham. You probably already know who Ham is. Genesis chapter 9, verses 18 through 19. And the sons of Noah that went forth from the ark were Shem, that's us, the Israelites, and Ham. This is the one who fathered Cush, who is in reality the whole of the black race, which is Cush. And Japheth, and Ham is the father of Canaan. These three were the sons of Noah, and of these was the whole earth overspread. This is in Genesis chapter 9, verses 18 through 19 again. Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And unto them were sons born after the flood. This is in Genesis chapter 10, verse 1. Since Ham, son of Noah, is not described as a giant, then the pointer points to, you guessed it, his wife, as it takes two to have descendants. Who is she? Here is the answer. Here is where you find the answer. Genesis chapter 6, verse 4. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came unto the daughters of men, and they bore children to them. The same were the mighty men that were of old, the men of renown, of fame. So there's so much to this, but it's incredible. If you find out, there is the information of where they come from. So there you go. There's a little rough draft. Now let's have a conversation, Q&A. Appreciate it. Shalom and welcome, Idol Hunter 777. Hope everybody's doing well. Okay, sounds great, Messianic True. Thanks for joining us. Peace to you as well. I appreciate you being here. So, whatever you guys missed, if you guys just joined us, please, can you hit the thumbs up button? That way more of the family can join us. We can get YouTube tries to hold back this gathering. I want to get a lot of people to join us to have great conversations. So the more you hit that thumbs up button, the more. Oh, we got Lou in the house today. Lou, welcome. Shalom and welcome. Lou, you get an applause from us. Shalom and welcome. Lou, one of a kind, Mr. Lou. Welcome. I'm glad you all can join me. So again, the Septuagint was only of the 5 books of Moses, just to give a reminder of what I talked about earlier. And we were talking about the giants. Now we know where the giants came from. If you missed any of this, you can watch it. It'll be posted live. And so we'll just have an open discussion here. Okay, sounds great, Messianic. Thank you, Lou. It's nice to have you with us. Lou is a dear, dear brother of mine. Very, very close to me, Lou. Love you, brother. So good to see you again. Have you with us. So, so we got 12 here so far. I'm hoping that more will join us here. Love you, Lou. And I'm just happy you guys are all with me. I hope that we can do more gatherings like this. I've just been so busy working so much. But Yeah, we'll talk about a lot of things here. Baruch Yehovah. Amen and amen. Tulu. Summit Gardens, shalom and welcome. No, actually, no. No, this is this goes deep. Great question, David. He says, so were they from angels, the giants? No, no, no. So this is the misinterpretation. Okay, this goes into another rabbit hole here. But let me show you guys something. This is because we're going to talk about, let's go into the fallen angels, because this is where they believe the Nephilim come from, the fallen angels. And if anybody, has their beliefs in the fallen angels, I'm not going to argue with you. If you believe that, then I'm not going to argue with that. I respect your views. But I'm going to show you how I came to a different conclusion a couple years ago by a realization of something that has been going on in my mind for years. For years, I had a problem with Genesis chapter 1 and Genesis chapter 2. And all throughout history, all Jews and all sects of Israel have always agreed that Genesis chapter 1 and Genesis chapter 2 are the same creation. And I always had a problem with this. I always felt that there was something that was not lining up correctly. So I always had this thought in the back of my head that there was two creations, because Genesis chapter 1 and Genesis chapter 2 clearly feel like two different creations. So what happens is, all throughout history, all the sages, all the rabbis, everyone said, well, we have the creation in chapter 1, and chapter 2 is just a close-up, close detail of what happened. That's all it is. It's the same creation. So here is the answer, because I believe this is two creations. There was the first creation, which are the sons of God, and the second creation are the human beings. Now, here is where I come up with this conclusion, and where I found this conclusion, which was shocking to me, because I'd always read this throughout my life, and I never caught this until 2 years ago. Now, listen to this. Really listen to me, okay? Listen to what I'm reading here, okay? Let's clean our brains right now and just listen, okay? Now, I'm claiming that there was two creations. Now, here is where I found the eye-opening passages from the Torah that prove that there's a problem. Now, we all understand that Cain, according to history and everybody's interpretation, Cain was the first murderer, right? Cain was the first murderer. Now, listen to this. Now, remember, after he murdered his brother, after he murdered his brother, right? God punished Cain. Now, here is where it gets very interesting, where I want you guys to pay attention. Listen to this. Okay. He goes on and on, the curses to Cain. Verse 12, if you till the soil, it shall no longer yield its strength to you. Basically, the ground is cursed, everything. You're going to be a wanderer. We get the whole picture, right? Now, we never paid attention to this. Now I want you guys to pay attention. Verse 13, this is the point. And Cain said to Yehovah, now remember, he is complaining. He's basically having a heart attack about this. Look, my punishment is too great to bear. Since you have banished me this day from the soil, I must avoid your presence and become a wanderer on earth. Listen to this, a wanderer, right? Okay, if Adam and Eve were the only creation, Cain and Abel, their children, right? These are the only family on earth, okay? And he's saying, I'm going to become a wanderer, meaning a nomad, a wanderer, somebody who's lost on earth. A wanderer is somebody who's on their own, like a solo act, a lone wolf, so to speak. That alone should raise your eyebrows to be like, a wanderer? How could he be a wanderer? That doesn't make any sense, but here it goes. And anyone who finds me will murder me. I'm going to read that again. Anyone, not my family, not my brother, not my sister, not my cousins, anyone, meaning a stranger, someone he doesn't know, who finds me will murder me. Now, I thought Cain was the first murderer, right? Family? He's supposed to be the first murderer. So where would he get a notion? Why would he be so frightened that somebody would murder him? We have a problem here. He's afraid to be a wanderer because anyone, not his family, someone will find him and murder him. Houston, we have a problem here. Now imagine, he's a wanderer, right? Somebody comes up to him and says, "Who are you?" He would say, "What are you talking about? You're my brother, my sibling, or my sister. I'm Cain." You know, I'm just trying to make the logical sense here. Okay, look, we're trying to be a little bit funny. Let's put a little humor in this. But think about it. If this is the only family that was created, he becomes a wanderer because of God cursing him, because of what he did to his brother. He goes out and becomes a wanderer, wandering in the wilderness, right? And somebody finds him, somebody, and says, "Who are you?" He says, "What do you mean, who am I, you idiot? I'm Cain, I'm your brother," right? But no, he's going to be a wanderer. And anyone who finds him will murder him. He obviously realizes and has a fear that he will be murdered by these strangers who might find him as a wanderer. We have a problem here. We must acknowledge this. Now, it gets even better. The Lord said to him, "I promise if anyone, not your family, not your brother, not your sister, if anyone murders Cain, sevenfold vengeance shall be taken on him. And the Lord put a mark on Cain, lest anyone who sees him should murder him." Cain left the presence of the Lord and settled. Listen to this. Here's the last point here. And he settled in the land of Nod. This means an established land. Now, it doesn't say that he created the land of Nod. It says he settled. You understand what that means? Settled in the land, established land of Nod. So therefore, there is a creation outside of where they are. And he's afraid that he will be murdered by these outsiders, and he settled in the land of Nod, established land. We have a problem here. And so then everything starts making sense. And the sons of God, the first creation, looked upon the daughters of humans and took wives for themselves, and the rest is history. Two creations. Now I want to hear what you guys have to say. But that's not the point that I'm saying, Summit Gardens. My point is, why and how could Cain be talking about being murdered? How would he know if he's the first murderer? That's the point I'm trying to make here. That's what I'm trying to say. Why is he freaking out and being afraid of being murdered by strangers if this is the only creation and they would be family to him? Do you understand? So that's the question I'm addressing. We're missing the big point here that I'm trying to make. Is that there had to be two creations. Because who would he be afraid of? And if he was the first murderer, then why is he talking about someone will murder him if he's a wanderer? And he doesn't say his family. Maybe he was a wimp. You're right, Bluesman. That makes a lot of sense. But my point is, he's afraid that he's going to be murdered because he's a wanderer. Why? I mean, logically, it makes more sense to understand that there must have been two creations, because this makes no sense if it's family. Yeah, and exactly, David Hardy. Yes, he says it would have had to be someone from the land of Nod. I always thought that there was creation, or someone out of Nod, because I don't think he would stay in Nod. I mean, he would still be an outsider in Nod, but maybe Nod was less frightful than another land, possibly. We don't know. But the point is that he's afraid to be a wanderer and go off on his own. Why would he be afraid if everybody was family? And even so, he doesn't say somebody. He doesn't say my brothers and sisters. He says anyone, meaning I don't know who would find me, will murder me if they see that I'm on my own. Where would he get an idea like that? And then it says he settled in the land of Nod. So, Shalom, Alex. Welcome. Yes, but the point that I'm trying to make is he mentions murder, okay? So the point is, if this is the only family, this would be family. And it doesn't mention his brothers and sisters or anything, or that they went on their own and became evil and murderous. Cain is supposed to be the first murderer, so we can't go around that fact. Cain is supposed to, and always has been labeled as the first murderer. Well, if that's the case, then why is Cain worried that he will be murdered? So, one thing that I will state that is true, that there's no question, Cain is never called the first murderer. This was a claim that was made based on a misreading of this text. Now, you can assume this is the case, but you still have to address what I'm talking about, is that he's afraid he will be murdered by becoming a wanderer by strangers. Now, if they were family, where did they become murderers from? And why would he be afraid of them? Why is this not mentioned? There's a lot of questions into this, and a lot of, I think it makes more logical sense to understand the whole thing with the sons of God and the daughters of humans. Shalom, Dante. I really truly believe it's in one of two places. It's either still possibly held in the Vatican that was stolen, or it could be in Israel being hidden. It's possible on both accounts. So, let's have an open discussion here. I want to welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. If you just joined us, make sure to hit the thumbs up button. That way the rest of the family will join us as well. Really appreciate you guys coming here. Let's see here. Bear with me here. Let's see here. Well, I'm not sure about that scriptural truth, but, you know, it's open to interpretation for sure. I know it was forbidden to eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil because they were already eating of the tree of life. They couldn't have both at that time. So I don't believe it was... Cain was probably not Adam's seed. Well, we don't have any notion of that. We do know that Eve did bore Cain and Abel both. I mean, I don't want to argue that case. You're free to believe that or maybe question that. I don't believe so. I just believe that there was two creations, and I think it explains the land of Nod, how he dwelt there, explains many things that were controversial and many things that were head scratchers of where do these people come from? Where did this come from? You know, he took for himself a wife. Well, who? His sister? This was always just assumed. Whereas now we have answers. Well, it'd be God's will when that happens. The third and final temple. So when it is built, that's when we will know that the time is at hand. And according to, you know, other theologies, it's supposed to be a false temple, but we don't have any of that in the Hebrew scriptures. It will stand forevermore. And then it says the nations will know that I, the Lord, do sanctify Israel when my temple is among them forevermore. No, the Vatican is not the third temple. Absolutely not the case. The Vatican is absolute abomination. Anyways, so whoever missed the beginning of this live stream, we talked about a couple things. We talked about the Septuagint, we talked about the giants, and now we're talking about the two creations. So we will get back together again soon. I look forward to meeting up with you guys again. Hopefully you guys will be available tomorrow. I'm going to go live again tomorrow. Hopefully Bluesman and everyone else will join me. We're going to talk about a lot of topics, so we're going to have fun tomorrow. Hope you all join me then tomorrow, and I'll make sure I post when that will be, okay? But thank you so much for joining me. And yeah. Well, the time is, I mean, everything's moving ahead as we see. A lot of things are going ahead, especially all the hatred of Israel is just so prevalent right now. It's just unbelievable, and it's going to be tying to a head. It's just all accumulating into the great day of Elohim. So it's coming about, and people think it's the opposite, but it's really according to Isaiah. But anyways, I want to thank everybody for joining me, all the family. I hope you guys will join me tomorrow. I look forward to being with you guys again. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I have an alternative channel, which I'm hoping to post more on that channel as well. It's called Jews, News, and Reviews. Oh, Maxwell. We got Maxwell here. I can't leave just yet. Maxwell, we got to give you an applause here, okay? For Maxwell Horowitz. Everybody here. Well, present your case if you believe that. Summit Gardens Comb Honey says, "Tell you right now, there is no two creations." Well, what's your proof of that? Because, like I said, I presented my case why there had to be two creations, because he doesn't even know who these people are. He's afraid that they're going to murder him, and there's a land already established that he joined. So to say there is no two creations, it's not, well, for one, unless you present that case, actual proof of that. I mean, you could state whatever you want, but it can't be taken as absolute truth, because, like I said, you have to go with which is the most logical conclusion. And unfortunately, what I presented is the more logical conclusion. It makes more sense. The other way is more twisting and turning. But again, I do respect everyone who has different views, like I said. But I presented my case. Please present yours if you disagree. And I respect your view. But let me present your case. Don't just say there absolutely was no two creations. Present your case. Because anybody could say that. You've got to prove the case. And I'm welcome to hear your response. Yes, Maxwell, brother, the wicked will disappear. All the wicked, the evil, especially all the evil elites who are deceiving us and trying to harm us, like all the people behind the chemtrailing and all the wicked people are going to be going down. Good people who didn't know any better will survive. So that's why you see a lot of people in the Tanakh, people that are realizing that the time has come, that Israel's vindicated in the eyes of all the nations, and those who join Israel are also vindicated. All of us are going to be vindicated in the sight of all the nations, and they're going to be in shock. This is why you see Isaiah 53, where they're like, who to believe this? Like, who to believe this? The Jews? Are you kidding me? That's what entire shock of all the earth going, the Jews? We thought they were cursed and God hated them and blah, blah, blah. That's what Isaiah 53 is. It's a confession by all the nations, the Christians, the Messianics, the Muslims, everybody. They're going, oh my God, like, I can't believe it. They were right. Are you kidding me? Why have they suffered so much? And then that's what they're going to confess and say, well, if they were right all along, why were the Jews suffering throughout history? Why have they suffered so much and had all these? Because right now, people will say the reason why Jews have suffered throughout history is because they rejected Christ. They rejected Muhammad. They rejected this. They rejected that. They're evil. They're this. They're that. They're wrong. They reject this. So in the end, if we are right, which in the end it says we will be proven right by God himself, then this is why you have the confession of Isaiah 53 going, oh my God. What it really says in the Hebrew is, for they were wounded from, not for our sins, from our sins. We are the ones who blame them. We are the ones who attack them, and and the enemies of Israel. We're the ones who threw them in the ovens and so forth, and spit on them and called them evil, and that's what's going on. You read Micah chapter 7 verses 15 through 16, matches Isaiah 53, proving it says there, in those days, as I took you out of the land of Egypt, so I will show unto them, meaning Israel, wonderful things. The nations shall see and be ashamed of all their power and might. They will place their hands over their mouths. They have this image from the prophets of the nations going, oh, utter shock, because they're not going to believe that we were right all along. And that's what the Hebrew Bible's full of. Everybody's going, oh my God, we were wrong. Jeremiah chapter 16, verse 19, again, the nations from the ends of the earth are coming to you saying, surely our ancestors have inherited nothing but lies and vanity, things of no benefit. For how can we make gods unto ourselves, and they are not gods? Idolatry, Jesus worship, all kinds of worship, the Buddha worship. All these good people are going to be like, we made gods out of people that are not gods, and idols, idolatry out of ones who are not God. How old the earth is? Well, we only know about human creation. It's less than 6,000 years, that's for sure. Exactly. Alex got it exactly right. That the wicked will disappear. Those who didn't know any better are not going to be destroyed for what they didn't know. So there's going to be a lot of good people who thought that Judaism was wrong, and they're going to survive. They're going to survive the great day, and that's what we have Isaiah chapter 2, where the nations are going to the mountain of God. Come, let us go up to the mountain. Read Isaiah chapter 2, verses 1 through 9. That's the nations, the good people that will survive God's day. They're going to say, let us go up to the mountain of God, that he may teach us his ways. For out of Zion shall go forth the Torah. You see? So they're going to admit it, like, okay, we got to get this right. Let's go up and learn the ways of God. That's what we got to do. Isaiah chapter 56, 1 through 9 again. The nations, God is saying, let the nations, the strangers, not say, God has separated me from his people. If we grab hold of his Sabbath, love the name of God, we shall be joined in. So we see this all over the scripture. Summit Gardens, I'm not adding anything to the interpretation of the scripture. I stated exactly what the word says. It obviously said that he settled in the land, which is an established land. Okay? So again, I'm not interpreting nothing. I read clearly the context. It makes no sense the other way around. But again, you can believe whatever you want. I didn't interpret this. I'm reading literal context. It makes no sense unless you understand that something else is. I mean, you can believe whatever you want, but again, you can't accuse me of adding things. I'm reading the word itself and putting sense to it, logical sense to it. And it's not far-fetched. I think it's more closer to the reality. I think it's more far-fetched to the other way around. I think we need to realize what's going on here. Think more logically. Yeah, the Song of Moshe. Exactly. I think you're right, Idol Hunter. But anyways, brothers and sisters, I thank you so much for joining me. And I hope to see you guys tomorrow. I hope you'll join me. Thank you so much for joining me. Everyone, I really appreciate you as well, family. We got Maxwell, everybody who joined. Again, I appreciate you guys. Make sure, if you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe. God bless you, Lou. Love you, brother. Everybody, Bluesman, everybody, really appreciate you. I'll let you guys know when I'll go live tomorrow. We'll have a great chat and good study. So look forward to seeing you all again. And thank you so much. Make sure that you subscribe. I have the link below for Jews News and Reviews. I'm going to be posting a lot of videos on that channel to support this channel as well. And then also, if you guys would like to support this channel and the proceeds going to the Tanakh project, you guys are welcome to do so. You don't have to. I'll continue to make videos. But I have a link in the description box for that as well. And again, thank you so much, everyone. Shalom, and may Yehovah bless you immensely.